So this is kind of me being a stickler, but I noticed that this queries folder is where I'm moving the queries that I'm extracting. Like this delete event tag has untag event mutation as its analog. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I'm using this GraphQL CodeGen library to generate this folder that has type support for the different queries that I'm using. And that just means that whenever I use these queries that have the app.gql variable wrapping their mutation or query, I get type support where it's used. And that's pretty helpful. I recently replaced the string right here, the variable that I was using directly in this mutation structure, in this hook. I recently replaced that with object access because eventually I want to make sure that all of these are consistent and know where they are, keep them co-located. So I want to be able to do a search on all of the event queries and see where they're used. There are some things that don't quite. Why is that way? Current value, form data, can be any. Interesting. Form context state. I wonder if I can mention event. Is that going to cause? Okay, yeah. So when I do something like this, I'm going to want to make sure when I'm actually calling this form does as const mean anything here? Because I don't want this to get confused. I don't think so. Interesting. So I don't know what that changes. And it's not showing up there either. So I don't really understand the as const thing. Context. Specify type explicitly. Extract that. And I think, yep. So I want to be able to look through these or look for these objects and make sure that they are all in the places that I expect them to be. Like this one event query, I think should just be event query. event tag. Do I have the display? Concept list display. Event display. Event tag display. Widget because it has a button. That's an arbitrary idea. I'll have to reevaluate this. But the point is, I want to be able to access where I'm using these queries so I can get a generally cursory look at what exists where and what's consistent with what. I think I'm gonna get tired of this I prefix and be kind of curious about how to remove that across the code base. I could do a search for type or interface. Followed by capital letter. So at some point, well, that's probably not going to change. I'll look into it because I'm kind of curious how refactoring that would feel. That's probably all over the place. Anyways, I'm going to continue working on this. I want to extract all of these queries into their own files and make sure they are being used accurately. Create user input. So this is outdated. It's not in sync with the backend. So I'm going to be working on that.